So when I think of Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, I'm reminded that there are different kinds of dreams, right? There are ordinary dreams, there are daydreams, there are prophetic dreams, and there are nightmares too. And growing up, I learned the prophetic dream of Martin Luther King, which is actually just the very end of that famous speech. You know, him dreaming about racial harmony, about kids of different races, you know, being able to play together, about people being judged by the content of their character, not by the color of their skin. And the vast majority of that speech actually articulates what in his, at his time was a nightmare for people living in this country, but we don't learn that part of it, right? We don't learn about when he says that Negroes were living on an island of poverty or languishing in the corners of American society, an alien in their own land, where he says that we're here today, that is in Washington, D.C., to dramatize this dreadful condition, right? So growing up, having that prophetic dream disconnected from the nightmare made me feel like King, that the civil rights movement was sort of disconnected from reality, which is actually the opposite of the truth. But it's something about that optimistic soundbite circulating in American discourse without the related nightmare that went with it, that's in the same speech. It's a disservice to each subsequent generation, right? It's like we really want to hear freedom ring, but we want to tune out the sirens of oppression as well. And so growing up in Los Angeles, where in my neighborhood, helicopters rumble over, the ceiling, where the lights from the police helicopters come in while you're sleeping and you feel like you and your loved ones are being surveilled, walking to school where kids are being lined up against the fence and being searched, that nightmare that people still live with, that King talked about multiple times referring to police brutality in the I Have a Dream speech, makes me feel like, now when I read the whole thing and I see he and his peers were fully aware of the nightmare that people still live in, it makes the prophetic part of his dream even more powerful, right? And so I think, when I walk by that statue of the birds flying heavenwards on BU's campus, I always take a second look because I also see them being pulled downwards, right? The same statue shows both directions. And so I'm reminded that we have a choice, right? Which direction we're going. Upwards, the prophetic dream, downwards, the nightmare. And it's really up to us about which reality we want to make come into existence.